All right, what's poppin', posse? Welcome back to Hippie Life, man. If you don't know, you probably won't know. I go by the name of DJ Deuce Bigelow. Today we here at Armadillo Records, man, for our new segment, In the Crate. We got our very special guest, man, Hippie Life's own Evette Wav. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, we're just gonna chop it up, man. We're gonna talk about musical taste, upbringing, and stuff like that. Then we're gonna shop for some records, you know what I mean? So all right, man, once again, thank you for joining me, Posse.
Of course, it's an honor to be here.
You already know. All right, man, so first off, can you tell me a little bit about your upbringing and how it influenced your musical taste?
Yeah, so growing up, I grew up with like a lot of R&B, hip-hop influence, so like my parents had a big influence with that. Also like alternative music.
Okay.
Like my cousins would play that, my mom would play that a lot, so like Avril Lavigne was probably like one of the most like the main artist that I ever like remember listening to. Yeah,
that's
like
crazy.
like the first artist that I like remember listening to. And so she kind of has like a little special place in my heart. Like
That's nice.
I would listen to her albums over and over as a kid, and then like a lot of names that like came up when I was little was like I would say like Outkast. My dad would listen to like Ludacris, New Edition, Boyz II Men, Erykah Badu, like you know all the greats like that.
Right.
So it was a lot of different things here and there, but mainly R&B, hip hop.
Okay.
I would say.
So like, would you say like, or when would you say it was like that time as a child, like you remember, okay, you find yourself being attracted to music, or like, you know what I mean, like really noticing like, okay, I like music a little bit more than average person?
I would say I was probably around like 6 or 7. Like my parents got me this little CD player. I had this like little Hello Kitty CD player, and I had this like little bag, and it would hold up to like 6 CDs in there.
Okay.
And so I remember like I would just sit in my room by myself with the headphones on and just sit there and listen to those albums like over and over. So I was like,
you remember
okay,
like what some of those albums were?
Oh yeah. I remember I had again Avril Lavigne. It was called Under My Skin. That one stayed in my CD player.
Okay, fire.
Like that
was the go-to.
Yeah, I knew it front to back, all the words. I remember having a Christina Aguilera one in there. I forgot what the name was. And then I remember Mary J. Blige was in there too.
Okay.
Those were just a few off the top of my head. I don't remember the other ones, but probably like some Disney CDs or something. But like, you know, but yeah,
that's
like
crazy.
you know, the artists that like stick with me today, like those are the ones that I remember being in there.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
So like we were talking about earlier how we came up with a certain era where like we would walk around with our PSPs.
Oh yeah.
And you know what I mean, we'll have our music loaded on the PSPs and stuff like that. So you remember like some of the songs you had loaded on there?
Yeah, one specifically was No Air, Jordan Sparks and Chris Brown.
Okay.
I played the shit out of that one.
That's crazy.
It's been
That
so
is a
long since
banger,
I've seen it, but yeah, I just remember, you know how like you play it and the little screen is like,
Yeah, oh God, yeah.
And I just sit there and watch it, but that was probably the main one that I would listen to.
Bro.
And that, yeah, Chris Brown's album Exclusive was on there for surely. Yeah.
Yeah, shout out to the PSPs though, for real.
They were real ones for doing that.
That was like, for me, that was my iPod before my iPod, you know what I mean? Then I upgraded to like an iPod Nano.
Yeah, same.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But all right, how would you say like your family, like your mom, parents, siblings, like how would you say their musical taste affected your own, like growing up?
Yeah, it was like a big influence just because like I said, I grew up listening to all that. Like we would sit in the living room and like play board games and stuff and like just do like, you know, family type shit.
Have
like,
music in the background.
And just have music playing in the background, And so it was just whatever. They had this big stereo and it held like 300 CDs and it was like on like a swivel thing. So like the cases were in there. They had like cases where, you know, you like flip through them, they hold like the little books.
Yeah.
But then they also had that stereo case, and so they would just like flip to whatever, and then we would
so
just
it was
have
already
it
in there, like
they were already,
preloaded.
they were in
crazy.
the slot.
That's
So
fire.
you would just like turn the little knob, and it would just spin around, and it would like have
that's hella
all
player.
the CDs in there. So like a bunch of them, like I said, it held like 300. So I just remember like anytime we were doing something like, you know, family type stuff, it was just like, okay, turn on the stereo, we're gonna do this, and like it was just always around when I was little.
Like,
so like
you would say like it was a major part of like your household and stuff like that.
Yeah, anytime we're doing something, it's just always on. So that's how I operate today too. Anytime I'm cleaning or anything, like it's just something you throw
mandatory.
it on, and like it's a must.
I was gonna say that any of your family members participate like in musical? Like, did they have any music background?
No, which is
Really?
crazy. Yeah, it's crazy because like getting into this, I always grew up playing sports and stuff. So like, and my family too, just a bunch of athletes. So like, it's just interesting how it turned out. Like, I didn't know anybody. Yeah, I didn't know anybody that was doing this, especially like friend-wise too. So I was just like, all right. I don't sing, I don't play any instruments, but I could talk about music all day. So I wanted to do radio at first, and then I started taking production classes, and that's what really opened my eyes. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, this is what it takes. I was like, well, maybe let's try doing like dipping my toes into music, because I was doing like podcasting and like sound to picture and stuff.
Okay.
So like once
So you're in a whole different realm.
Yeah,
like,
I learned a bunch of different things. So like even TV production, like all of that, like you get to see like the behind the scenes stuff. So once I kind of like gained knowledge, basic knowledge in each of them, I was like, okay, well, I've always been into music, and so like always wondered what it would be like, and researched like, okay, like this is what a producer does and stuff, and like what a beat maker does, and I'm like, okay, well, let me try that out. And so I got a keyboard for my birthday, and then I got the little MIDI controller, like I think a couple years later, and that's when it really like, I was like, I have the things that I need, so let's just try it out. And so it's more like, kind of self-taught. Like I didn't really have anybody to show me the ropes. I just looked up what I could.
So like growing up in school, you didn't participate in like any musical activities?
You know what, in like 4th grade, I went to band.
Okay.
And, I
went to band.
Just like I went to band, and like I picked up the trumpet for a little bit, and then like the next year, like we switched band teachers, and then they were like, you have to like learn to read music instead of like it being the numbers. Yeah. And after that, I was like, I'm not going anymore. So like I stopped going. So that was like my only, I guess you could say, like my experience. But other than that, like I didn't do any of that.
That's like,
yeah, I do everything by ear too. So I'm just like, maybe that's.
Yeah, so you
like,
can't read music still.
I can't read music. I really don't know music theory like that. I know like a little bit, but
that's crazy. Again, I would have thought that like I've seen you like even like create notes and stuff on it like by yourself.
Yeah, it's by ear.
That's
I
crazy.
So I go based off the feeling.
Yeah, that's tight.
Yeah.
All right, my bad, y'all. I gotta keep checking these notes. It's our first one. We're gonna get more organic with this, but I gotta check the notes for right now. So how would you say like your musical taste evolved over like the years as you got older? Like moving on from like the stuff that you're like exposed to as like a youth by like your outside influences to where you're like, okay, I'm starting to pick my own music, and I like this artist, like you said, the Chris Brown and stuff like that. Like when did that start coming into play?
I was probably around like 12 or 13 when that happened. Like you said, like mentioning Chris Brown, I really just started digging into people's catalogs and then looking into who their producers were, who their songwriters were, and I think I kind of gravitated towards artists that like self-produce and stuff.
Right.
And so just seeing that, I was like, okay, like that's really cool, and they stick out to me more. So I think like that's what kind of changed over time. Not so much like the style or anything, and then I guess more like alternative, like where they're not so mainstream, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like I listen to a lot of the stuff that I was listening to, you could hear it on the radio, but now not so much. Like the things that I listen to, like I go looking for it, or I just so happen to come across it from like Instagram or just like TikTok or something. Like it just, or like I'll go looking for it on like Apple Music or something on a playlist. I'm not really,
you were talking about like earlier you were saying like how you would like go into the Billboard and stuff like that.
Yeah, I used to do that for fun. I was being like a little nerd, so like I would go on the Billboard charts or like and see what's just being uploaded on there and like where
what's coming out,
what's coming out. And then just like on iTunes, like they had their own little like Hot 100 little chart, and so I would go on there and then just whatever caught my ear, and I'm like, oh, I like this, and like just again, if I didn't know who they were, I'm like, okay, let's see what's going on with that, and so just go into their older albums.
That's tight.
And yeah, so it was just, I did that for fun. I used to spend hours doing that.
Yeah, that's like for me it was thatpiff.com. Like I would sit on
thatpiff too. Yeah.
I would sit on thatpiff.com for like 3-4 hours and just go to every single mixtape and like, all right, I'm listening to like at least 2-3 songs from this mixtape. You go to the next one, go to the next. That's how I found like all my favorite artists back in the day.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's tight though.
Shout out that
I never even thought about like actually hopping onto the Billboard website or anything like that. Like that's kind of smart.
Because I didn't have social media at the time, so I would just literally Google like my favorite artists and like see. I'd have to like go look and see what they're working on and like you know find it because I didn't have that. I wasn't allowed to.
I would literally just wait for that Pip. Like that Pip didn't post it. I did not know about your music. Like that's how it worked for me.
Yeah.
I was gonna say like. My bad.
It's good.
Confusing myself real quick. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. All right. Okay. Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. No, but for real. So moving on. Do you remember the first album or like first album, single, or whatever that like you were like, dang, this is amazing. Like I love music. Like this. I thought I liked music before, but this album right here made me really realize how much I love music.
I want to say it was probably Fame by Chris Brown.
Okay.
Because like I said, I don't know, I just, after a certain point, like I said, I started listening like more intentionally, like listening out for like the mix. Like I wasn't really like listening like that. I was just like, oh, I like this song, whatever. And then now, as I got older and I started like looking into it, I was like, dang, like, this shit is fire.
Yeah.
Like you just start to notice little things.
The little,
and like,
you
the
little technicalities and stuff.
And so I was like, I think with that one, that was the one where like I saw this like dance video. Somebody was like freestyling to it, and I heard this song that I'd never heard before, and I was like, that's like a deep cut. I'm like, this. He had that, and that was a album that did very well too. Like he had a lot of hits on that one.
That was a banger.
And so I was like, well, let me see like what other songs are on there, and then I just did like. That's where I went like full send with his catalog too.
Right.
Like he has a lot of albums before that too, and I was just like, whatever. But like, I don't know, something just like kind of switched after I started listening to that album, and I started like really honing in on like really listening intentionally. And then that's when I went back to other people's albums and it was like, oh shoot, like noticing little things here and there and like what is panning and stuff. Like I noticed like, oh, I hear this on this side, but I don't hear it on this side. Like what is that? And so I started looking stuff up like that, and that's where it really opened my eyes, and I was like, oh wow, this is crazy. And so, and then little did I know that's engineering. That's not even like what producers don't always do that too. So I'm like, okay, this is the engineering side, and that's what kind of like opened my eyes to what that is. The whole
after process for real.
Yeah. Which was fire to me. So
yeah, that's tight. So that was like what made you want to like start diving into the engineer side? Yeah,
and so shortly after that, like I had to write this paper. It was like a biography page. I don't even know why like we had to do this biography thing, but like it was in high school, like my sophomore year, and I picked Pharrell. He was one of my favorite producers. And so I was like, let's do that. And so like I just that too really opened my eyes too, like because I was wondering, I was like, okay, when people do like the track listing and stuff, like how does that go about? And so I just started like researching all kinds of people that I liked, and so but he was like the main one where I really had to like, you know, it was due for an assignment, but I was like, all right, cool, like Pharrell, like who is Pharrell? Like I know he's this great artist, but I'm like, so what's his story? And so I don't know, I just after that I got to see like what the different roles were and like what it took and like
the full process, like
and it was just amazing to me. So I was like, that if I could do that, that would be awesome. And it was just a thought too. I never thought that I would be actually doing it. I was always just like, yeah, that's nice. But now that I'm actually doing it, I'm like, high school me would think like, I wouldn't believe you if you could tell me.
That's what I always tell my homies, like, no matter what, like, if you're doing anything within the music and, like, you can make money from it or whatever, it's like, think about that little kid you and realize how cool you are. You know what I mean? It's like if little kid you were like, you went back in time and, like, walked up to Lil Evette and was like, hey, I'm an engineer, I work at a studio, I make beats and stuff like that. They would be like, bro, like, what? You're the coolest person ever. You know what I mean?
I would be like, what?
So it's like, nobody out there, don't ever doubt your journey. If you're in music, man, you're cool.
Just
you're tight.
Do it. Just do it, man. Take it as far as you can.
All right, so finishing up with like the musical background type stuff, can you share any like memorable moments of like just with music in your life? Like, you know what I mean? There's something like.
Oh, there's so many. There's just. Go ahead.
No, I was just like, you already got the idea, so what's up?
I don't know. I just have like, just moments where I sit with myself and really like it's like a form of expression to me. I don't really articulate my feelings very well, so like when I got something going on or just like I need to get that out, like I just literally sit in my room and just like let it out. And like even driving has been like one of my most favorite things to do. Like that's like my time where it's like to just really experience the music and the feeling that I'm feeling. So like it happens often now, so it's not really so much like it's been over time. There's not really like a specific moment, but just like I think it's always been there. Like I feel that stuff like in my soul, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like people are like, oh yeah, I like this and stuff. I'm like, but you feel it? Do you hear it? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so it's just always been there. Like I've always, and that's what drew me to it. Like it's just a different feeling that I have when I listen to it. I don't know how to explain it. You know
I know exactly what you mean. Like I think you hit the head on the nail. It's like a crazy, like an extra emotion you have. You know what I mean? That like just comes over you every time you hear like for me, like if I hear like a song that's like, for instance, like the new Tyler the Creator album, right? Like I think it was Take Off Your Mask, that song from that, right? I listened to that song and I instantly just get goosebumps over my body. So, like the first chord hit and I just got goosebumps. You know what I mean? And it's like, I feel like whenever, that's like the feeling that you're trying to describe right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's cool because I'm like, even the joy like that you feel too, like I can just, whatever songs like that I'm hearing during that like duration, like I'll play the shit out of certain songs. So like I remember certain like points in my life like years ago where I'm like, okay, like this album reminds me of like high school and like like Khalid, like teen, what is it, American Teen?
Oh yeah.
That was fire. And so like it's just crazy how music works. Like it just takes you back to those moments and stuff. So it's just like things over time. It's not like really a specific moment for me. I don't know how to explain it.
That actually leads me into the next question. I was going to say, like, how do you think that nostalgia plays effect into like your musical taste now?
I don't think I'm like aware of it. That's the thing too, because like when people talk to me about my music, they're like, it sounds like, you know, early 2000s or like stuff that we like. My sister and I were talking the other day about the new project that came out with Kavan, Pretty Girls of R&B. So like the song that I produced on there is it's called Let Go. And she's like, this reminds me of something that like we used to listen to when we were younger. And I'm just like, it doesn't really like, when I'm sitting there in the moment, that's like not my intention.
It's not a conscious thing.
So and it's just weird how it works. Like people are like, how do you do it? I'm like, I sit there with the intention of doing something and then something else just comes out. So it's just weird how it works. Like it's just unconscious. You know what I mean? Like it's weird. I don't know how to explain it.
So you would say like it does, like you say that nostalgia, like it does play a part, but it's not like a conscious thing. It just slips out.
It just happens. Yeah. Okay. It's pretty organic. I don't know, but I mean, they definitely like the sounds that I pick. Definitely do have to do with like my upbringing. You know what I mean?
So how would you describe like your current taste right now? Like. Feel free to like name some specific artists or like, you know, specific genres, whatever.
Yeah, so like a lot of like darker tones right now. So like where they're very like synth based, you know what I mean? Like Fires have a lot of that. Sonder, there's like a lot of that. Nasty bass lines. Like I love a good bass line. What else? I'm like trying to think. Let's see, like Kehlani's going crazy too right now. She's got like a lot of melodic stuff. It's caught my ear lately. Let's see, just off the top of my head. What else? I guess like that neo soul too, like where it's what else? Like Ombre's got a lot going on right now. Oh my gosh. She's
fire.
She's
Like I found her like. Probably like 3 years ago now. Like it was on accident on SoundCloud though. Like I was just going through SoundCloud. It suggested one of her songs for me. I think it was like Gucci Slides or something like that.
Yeah, that was fire.
And I was like, bro, this is a banger.
Ombre, Lucky Day, like they're very instrumental. Like so I think that's what my sound, like what I want to sound like eventually. And like the way that they have really good transitions, both Ombre and Lucky Day. So,
like between songs?
Yeah, between songs. So like if you listen to Lucky Day's albums, I mention this a lot with people, but like it sounds like a big continuous loop. Like the song, like at the very end of that album, bleeds into the very first.
Oh, really?
Yeah, if you notice, like if you listen to
now.
Painted and if you listen to Algorithm, those are like, Algorithm's my favorite album.
See, I never listened to one of his albums all the way through. Now I gotta do it.
Yeah, those ones are meant to listen to like chronologically. So that's what I love about it. Like D-Mile is crazy for that. Oh my gosh. It's like I don't
you just
understand
put
how
me
to
on
do
to
it.
something. I didn't even know that.
His are one of the ones that you have to like listen to all the way through, and it's like it's crazy. It's just one big loop, and that's what I love about it.
All right, man, that's tight. I was gonna say, so all right, last question for this part is like just overall, like what would you say like music means to you?
Everything. I don't know. It's like it's like I would call it like my best friend, honestly, just because like I've always personified it because of, like I said, I don't really like articulate my feelings very well. So I'm like, it's always like something that I can turn to when I feel like I don't like have anybody to talk to like in that moment. You know what I mean? Like, so it's just like not only an extension of me because I'm always known as that like that music girl. Everyone's always like, you're always singing, you're always like talking about this and that. So it's just like, I don't know, it's just part of me unintentionally. You know what I mean? It just happened that way, and I personify it too. So I guess yeah, it's
Best
just
friend.
everything. It's my best friend.
That's tight. I like that a lot. That's tight.
Yeah.
All right, man. So right now we're gonna go shop for some records. We're gonna go look at some good music, and we're gonna find some stuff. We're gonna try to pick your brain more about your music taste while we do it, and see what we can get.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Let's do it.
Go.
Yeah, like even Phil Collins and stuff like that. Like that would be dope to see. Like I, for some reason, gravitated towards that as a kid. Like watching Disney, like the soundtrack for that. And I was like, I just for some reason love his voice. Like so, even finding that would be dope.
That's cool.
Oh wait, it is Phil Collins. What? Oh, it's in studio. Wait, these ones got some bangers on them. Alright, today I'm gonna go with Aaliyah's self-titled album, Aaliyah. It's got songs like Rock Roll, Try Again, and Timbaland produced this. This is what, like, it's an iconic album, iconic singles, hit after hit, and an iconic producer. So this screams Evette Wav all over it.